Hello and welcome to the Aaron Werner podcast. With your permission, today I wanted to just share what's going on in my head, some things that I've been working on, some things that I've been ruminating. About 9 months ago, I signed myself and Skyler up for the San Diego Rock and Roll Marathon. This was going to be his first marathon, and it was going to be my first marathon probably in over a decade. We've talked about on the podcast about how he's gotten into running, got me back into running, found my love for running. And so we've been training this up. In fact, about 6 weeks ago, we both ran a half marathon and he did fantastic. He beat me. I beat 2 hours, my first sub 2 hours in well over a decade. So it was a huge success for both of us. And we were right on pace for our training for the San Diego Rock and Roll Marathon. I didn't share about that half marathon because to me, it was really a neat life experience. I know it's only a half marathon, but as someone who their whole life has been involved in endurance sports, being able to share that experience with my kid was really neat. And quite frankly, I just wanted to hold on to it for as long as I could without sharing it to the world. I did record a pretty cool video with my Oakley Meta Vanguard glasses. There was a group of dudes who ran in Speedos. They did make the video. If I had to see it, whenever I decide to share that video, you will have to see it as well. It was an interesting race, that half marathon. It started off beautiful, and then we had torrential downpours in the middle of it and flooding of the course, beautiful rainbows because of that. And then the rain was gone and the sun was back out by the time we finished. So we got a whole lot of experience in that race, but a lot of fun. And San Diego is beautiful to run in, so it was absolutely beautiful. But let's fast forward. So San Diego Rock and Roll Marathon, we're getting excited for it. We're gearing up. We've spent 9 months, more than 9 months training, but really 9 months focused on this one race. And 2 weeks before, we got a stomach bug that hit our family. And Skyler was one of the first ones hit. Thankfully, he was able to recover from that and run the marathon. I was not. I got hit a couple of days before the marathon, and there was no way that I was going to recover back. It just zapped my energy. I had no energy from it. And I was really bummed. I was really bummed because I had been looking forward to this for 9 months, or if not more. I put in time for training. I was waking up early. I was staying late. I hate running on the treadmills, but when I had to, I would put in my training runs on the treadmills. I made sure that I had my running shoes whenever I traveled so that I would get my runs in, and whether it was hot or cold and whatnot. So I'd put in the time for this. I was eating well. And those of you who know me know I love my desserts. Those cut back significantly. And so I was feeling good. And then the stomach bug just completely took me out. I can't remember a time I've ever pulled out of an event. And this was one I had to pull out of. So I was feeling well enough day of to ride around on my bike and see Skyler at different, parts of the race. So I was with him at the start when he took off and rode around, saw him at about mile 6 or so, 5 or 6. And then when I was riding from mile 6 to where I was going to meet up with him again, I really got in the feels and I started feeling just bad. I don't like this term, but I can't think of anything else right now. I started feeling like a victim, that bad things were happening to me, that the stomach bug had taken away this experience from me. It had taken away the experience that I was so looking forward to have of running this marathon and enjoying this moment with my son. It was his first marathon. I was never going to be able to go back and have that first marathon with him experience again. And I just started feeling really down and pretty negative as I was riding. And then somewhere along the way, my thinking changed. And I'm not going to say that I did any sort of magical, mental judo to fix this, but my thinking changed. And I started reflecting on the journey that had gotten us to this point. Now, not being able to run the marathon sucked. There's no two ways about it. But looking back on the journey and what we had experienced together to get to this point, I realized that I was focusing on the one negative and none of the entire positive that we have. So not only was I in some of the best shape that I've been in a long time, but we got to go on training runs together. We got to run that half marathon together. We got to talk almost daily about how our training was going, the ups and the downs. Because if you train for anything, you realize that some of your training activities are great and some of them are just tough. And you want to share both of them equally with somebody who understands. We got to talk about shoes. We got to talk about different gels and goos and things that we ate during the runs. We got to talk about the hills that we ran up and down or when we had to run with dogs and the, dog decided to try to kill us by chasing a squirrel and running in front of us and tripping us up, and all the kind of fun stuff that happens when you're out training. And when I was in my negative feels, I had forgotten all about that. I didn't pay attention to it. As I started thinking about that, I had a completely different outlook on what was happening that day on the marathon. And I realized that not being able to run the marathon gave me an opportunity that I've really never had before. And that's celebrating somebody else running and being a spectator into their journey, because I was always the athlete when it came to things like this. And so the rest of that race, really for the next 3+ hours, it was really cool to see Skyler in all the different emotions that he had running through the marathon, all things that I knew firsthand because I'd experienced them. The highs, the lows, the successes. I'm feeling great. I feel horrible. I've got a side cramp. My ankles hurt. I feel like I'm floating. All of that. And so it was neat to see all of those along the way. It was neat to cheer him on along the way. It was awesome to be at the finish, to see him experience how once you run 26 miles, 0.2 miles feels like the longest distance in the entire world, even if it's a slight downhill finish where San Diego is for that last 0.2. And then hear his name being read by the announcer as he's crossing the line, and just seeing the pure joy in his face, the satisfaction, how proud he was of himself, and certainly how proud I was of him. And I wouldn't have had that experience even as a runner running alongside them, because I'd have been going through my own emotions. And that's to assume that we'd have been able to run together the whole way, because running 26.2 miles with somebody else is not an easy thing to do. Adjusting paces, trying to match pace and whatnot. So pretty neat experience. And looking back, certainly I would have loved to have run the race, but I'm really glad I had the experience that I had of being able to support Skyler and watch him along the way and be a spectator to his first marathon. Now, we've already signed up for San Diego Rock and Roll 2027. So if you're a runner, seasoned marathoner, or someone who wants to do their first one, we'd love to have you come out and join us. San Diego is fantastic. And so, like I said, we've already paid and signed up for it. You can register for it and let me know if that's something that you're going to do, so we make sure that we plan time to hang out together.
The Myopia Collective. Cooper Vision and the AOA have partnered in a groundbreaking initiative to change the way optometrists in the U.S. treat children with myopia. The purpose of the Myopia Collective is to rally the profession of optometry and its allies to interrupt the status quo and elevate the new standard of care for children with myopia. Every individual is encouraged to become a member of the collective. By joining, you commit to taking action to help slow the progression of myopia in children. You'll receive updates and information about the collective and its work in the fight against myopia, gain access to educational opportunities and resources offered by the collective, and hear from change agents, the ambassador optometrists selected to serve as advocates for community and policy change that facilitates the mission of the collective. Scan the QR code or click on the link in the show notes to join the collective today.
In the past, our focus revolved around prescribing MacuHealth or MacuHealth Plus to patients at risk of macular degeneration, while also recommending it to collegiate and professional athletes for enhanced contrast sensitivity in sports performance. However, this year's introduction of the Life Meter has been a game changer. The Life Meter revealed a concerning truth. Many of my patients have alarmingly low skin carotenoid levels, indicating potential deficiencies in essential body tissues like the retina and brain. Supported by over 30 peer-reviewed publications, Life Meter's accuracy, consistency, and effectiveness has been demonstrated across 2,000 subjects with diverse backgrounds. With this newfound insight, I can now have meaningful conversations about carotenoid levels with all of my patients, even those who may seem outwardly healthy. To learn more about this empowering technology, feel free to contact your MacuHealth representative or click on the link in the show notes. Together, let's optimize patient care and elevate their well-being. My thoughts since that event was really how the lessons I've learned from that experience and how it plays into life and in the practice. I've talked before about how I believe that running is a wonderful metaphor for life, and running is a wonderful metaphor for managing a business, owning a business, and running a business. And there's ups and there's downs, and there's great days and there's bad days, and you have good training runs and you have great races, and then you have horrible training runs and you have some bad races, and sometimes you get injured and it pulls you back, and then you have to recover from that. Well, if I'm being honest, this first half of the year for us has not gone how we mapped it out. There's certainly some shining lights that have happened within our business, but overall, just the number of exams that we've seen has dropped, and that has had a trickle down effect. And I love my numbers. I've dived into the numbers. Maybe I'll talk about those at a later time. But the first thing I want to acknowledge is that if you're on top of the world, great. Continue to celebrate it, do what you're doing to make it, keep having the success that you're having. But if you're finding yourself, like occasionally we find ourselves, where we're not meeting expectations, then that's okay. It's not necessarily because of something that you did. There's things that we can control, things that we can't control. And sometimes there's just factors that are not in your control. And I believe that's where we found ourselves in the moment with my business, just like I found myself with a stomach bug right before the marathon, just factors you can't control. But that doesn't mean that you're completely helpless. That doesn't mean that you're a victim. It means that you just have to refocus on what you can control and do the best there. So what we've done in our business is really peel back the different layers to understand how our systems are working. And what we discovered is that our capture rate this year is outpacing what it was last year. So we're selling a higher percentage of frames and lenses to patients than we did previously. We're able to help more of those patients get the quality care that we believe they get best from us. And that's a huge win. That's fantastic. Now, we're not seeing as many patients, but we want to make sure that our systems in the optical capture rate, let's say, is really good. Our medical systems are good. So we've talked on here, Chris has talked on the podcast, and we've put on clinics about looking at your medical KPIs. So how many visual fields are you running as a percentage of your comprehensive exams, your different OCTs and whatnot, making sure that you're providing quality medical care. Those numbers are all up, which means we're doing a good job with those systems. We are finding ourselves down in contact lens exams. Have some thoughts on it. And I think that we did so well that we just started assuming that everybody was going to want contacts. And the minute we took our eye off of the asking everybody ball, that had a little bit of an effect. We also had some change and turnover in our technicians. And certainly technicians, for us at least, are the front lines of introducing contacts to our patients. And so with the new technician, getting them up to speed on all the medical tests and the flows, there may be a miss there from what we had previously on introducing contact lenses. So that for us is a refocus. We're doing fine in that area, but we're not doing as well as we were. And fine isn't good enough for us. I don't want to be fine. I don't want to be average. I always want to improve, and I want to certainly make sure that we're never missing an opportunity to provide a quality experience for our patients. And so if we're not helping them understand the value of contacts, that's an opportunity we can look at. The long story short, what we're doing is really looking at our systems internally. And whenever things slow down, it gives us time to do that. We can either take that time and breathe and say, oh, thank goodness we've got some breathers today. I can catch up on work and catch up on my to-do list. Or we can use that time and say, hey, we need to peel back the layers and say, what can we look to do better? Because at some point, the factors we can't control are going to change. And then we need to be ready for when that happens, when the economy changes, when the outside circumstances change and the phones get a little bit busier, because that's just kind of the cycle that at least I've seen with our practice. So what I've been thinking about is how the learnings from the whole marathon experience, the highs, the lows, the working towards a goal and not being able to complete that goal, again, how that applies to what we do in practice. And so whenever you find yourself, like I'm finding myself right now, in a situation where we're not quite meeting our expectations, where the goals that we set are not being hit, do we bow our head in despair? Do we get frustrated? Do we feel like the world's happening to us? Or are there things that we can take control of? Are there things that we can continually work to improve? And that's what we're trying to do. And I'm not by any means saying it's easy, because it is frustrating. It's frustrating when the team's not consistently hitting their bonuses. It's frustrating trying to keep morale up when there are things trying to push down on it. But there are positives and things that we can control, and we want to make sure we're doing our best with that. So we involve our team in it. We invest in our team. We invest in our time. We invest in evaluating our systems, so that we're continually looking to do better. I didn't get to run the marathon, but I'm still training, and I've got my eyes set on the next marathon. I've got my eyes set on the next races. We're not hitting the first half of the year goals that we wanted to, but we're looking forward to the second half of the year, looking forward to seeing how we can improve on that, how we get in control of the factors that we can control and what we can do for those. So would love to hear your thoughts about this. I'd love to hear how the first half of the year has been treating you, and what's worked well for your practice, what hasn't worked well for your practice, what things that you need to work on, any insights that you've had that have really helped you be successful. I want to learn from you. So reach out, leave a note in the comments, or feel free to reach out to me directly. I appreciate having the conversation that I do, that these podcasts spark. And until next time, thank you.